Hello there everybody, Jake's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. Today I'm honoured to be bringing you an exclusive first look at this. This is Triple M's brand new Richard Mansell's Rail Shuriken. And I realise if you're not familiar with this prototype, it will seem like a very strange rail vehicle indeed. But later on in this video, we are going to talk about the history and the background of this model so that you can understand what it's all about. But anyway, this video is an exclusive first look at this model, which means Triple M Models has actually chosen this channel, Jake's Trains, to be the first to make a video on this, which is the greatest honour anyone has ever done me. Anyway, speaking of the model, as you can see, the RRP for this, the full price, is £89.99. And there's been a lot of discussion about the prices of these models. People, one person in particular, has been calling it a rip-off. But I think there's just a lot of misconceptions about this, really. People just don't realise what goes into making a model like this. You know, I've spoken to Triple M Models, they've bought me lunch, they even wrote the script to this video. I'm reading it off the teleprompter right now, and I'm also legally required to tell you that I am in their pay. But no matter what Sam's Train says, oh damn it, I wasn't supposed to mention his name, blast bugger. But when I tell you that this model is not too expensive, you need to trust that I am coming from a position of true expertise. Please turn over. Oh. So without any further ado, let's take a close look at this model and find out what this is like, and hopefully it's going to be worth £90. It is. So the one thing I really love about this, first of all, is the box. Not because it's particularly well designed or sturdy or anything like that, although I'm told that it is, but because I think less is more. And I think I'm right as well. It's not too large a box. I think less is more. Anyway, nothing really else to see on the box, so let's open this up and let me show you what we get inside. As you can see, beautifully packaged in there. Now I can see we've got some instructions, so we'll start with these. Alright, there you go. Richard Mansell's Southern Railway Rail Shuriken. Lovely, lovely photo of the model there, and then down below, what does it say here? Congratulations on investing £89.99 on this luxurious scale model by Triple M. This model has been carefully engineered to bring you several seconds of semi-enjoyment. So they don't flatter themselves too much, do they? But I'm going to do that in this video, if the model's good, of course, which I have a feeling that it might be. Anyway, there's a brief history of the Rail Shuriken down below. Pause and read that if you want, although I will tell you about the real thing in just a moment. What have we got inside then? Okay, Firth Brown adapters. So it says, should you want to model Bullied's rebuild of the Rail Shuriken, we have included the Firth Brown adapters for you to fit to the model. These have been cleverly designed to fit into the original model and can be fixed in place with a small dab of glue. Please note warranty requests will not be considered. Okay, that's just about the warranty. Here's the exploded diagram. As you can see, it's quite a complex model. Very unusual structure as well for a passenger carrying coach, effectively, I suppose. But more on that later on. Just a bit about the returns policy. And, oh yeah, that's just Triple M wanting to buy second-hand items. Okay, don't need that. Right, so let's have a look at what accessories we get then. So these look like the Firth Brown adapters from Oliver Bullied's rebuild. So I guess we'll try popping those onto the model later on, see what it looks like with those. We've got another accessories bag, which contains 2 NEM couplings and also 2 naked men as passengers for the model. Now, obviously, and this has been talked about quite a lot on the forums, these men should ideally be entirely naked, and the reason for that is that no clothing was actually allowed for passengers riding the Rail Shuriken for fear of it getting caught up in the machinery and such. But Martin, when I went for lunch, Martin told me that his team actually refused to paint thousands of Todgers onto tiny little men. So in the name of decency, I suppose, they have modelled these characters with shorts on, although the breasts have been picked out, as you can see. And the completely hairless nature of these figures is correct, because hair any longer than I think 4mm had to be shaved off before any passenger could ride aboard the Shuriken. So, you know, they're not the most realistic, but I think if they were completely naked, there would be problems with that. So I think the shorts are understandable. Anyway, best till last we have saved. We have the Rail Shuriken itself. So here we go, nicknamed, of course, the Rail Ferris Wheel by people who didn't treat this with the reverence it deserves. But of course, that's not me. I'm going to call this by its correct name. That's the Rail Shuriken. Unusual, of course, because it had 5 sets of wheels, 5 axles. And of course, these wheels, as you can see, are distributed around the circumference of the structure of the coach, which is a design unlike any other. Richard Mansell was truly ahead of his time. But anyway, we'll take a much closer look at this model in just a moment. But for now, let's have a bit of background on the famous Rail Shuriken in real life. The Rail Shuriken was designed by Richard Mansell for the Southern Railway and introduced in 1918 for the expedited transportation of wealthy VIP passengers. The vehicles were able to carry 2 passengers at a time, and they had the unique ability to overtake other trains on the network by cartwheeling over the top of them in a manoeuvre known as tumbling. This allowed the fleet of Rail Shurikens to travel faster than other trains, and in doing so provide the ultimate express passenger service. Despite the low capacity of just 2 passengers at a time, the Rail Shurikens were financially successful due to the high ticket prices paid by the elites who rode them. In 1938, Oliver Bulleid became the CME of the Southern Railway, and he was jealous of Richard Mansell's success with the Rail Shuriken. He therefore rebuilt the fleet of Shurikens, which involved replacing the old spokes with a new brown Firth design, with the intention of stamping his identity and design philosophy onto the Shurikens forever. Bulleid was actually the first passenger to ride a rebuilt Rail Shuriken, and he was seen nakedly cartwheeling around the Southern Railway network in the name of testing out his new design. Sadly, no Rail Shurikens survive under preservation, and even more unfortunately, no photographs were ever taken of the Shuriken, meaning that this model was based purely on the descriptions of those who say they did see it. And Martin said that I should thank Neil from the pub for giving Triple M basically all of the information to create this model, so they owe quite a lot to Neil for that. Anyway, let's move on. So there it is, a close look at Triple M's brand new Rail Shuriken. And to say I'm impressed by this model is completely untrue. No, it's a complete understatement. I'll cut that bit out. To say I'm impressed by this model is a complete understatement. I mean, the detail and the quality of the moulding is just astonishing, considering there are no photos of this thing in existence and only one person on the planet actually remembers these things existing. That's the slightly sloshed fella called Neil. I think given how little Triple M models had to work with here, they've done an absolutely amazing job. And just the engineering behind this really has blown my tiny little mind. And as you can see, we've got the NEM couplings pre-fitted, as you can see, and Triple M have actually innovated these. Instead of them having a left and right pivotability, which is just revoltingly mainstream really, Triple M have made these pivot up and down slightly. Look at that. So they spring really nicely, and I think it's that level of creativity that has allowed Triple M to actually go all the way and make a model like this. So there's so much to talk about here. Obviously, I've got this set so that the couplings can couple to other rail vehicles, but obviously the purpose of the Rail Shuriken is that it could take all sorts of different positions as it cartwheeled along the track. So obviously the NEM couplings will make it difficult for the Shuriken to sit in this position. As you can see, the NEM coupling at the bottom there makes it totally impossible for this to sit on the track properly. It's totally not going to happen. It's impossible. But then the next position, yeah, that works perfectly fine. Obviously the NEM couplings won't work when they're in this position because gravity's pulling the hooks in the wrong direction, but the vehicle will obviously roll along quite happily like that. And then I think there's another position where, yeah, where again, you won't be able to use the couplings, but the Rail Shuriken can run along like this. And then I think the next position is going to be the same problem again, but on the other side. As you can see, the NEM coupling just prevents me. Whatever I do, I can't get the Rail Shuriken to go on the track because there's a NEM coupling in the way. Oh dear. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that. I mean, you've got to remember that this is an unusual rail vehicle. This has not been done before in 00 scale. And I think that's a necessary compromise to enable this model to couple to other models, of course. Right, accessorised then. So we've got this. This is the Firth Brown adapter from a jealous Oliver Bullied. And he had these cast so that they could be fitted into the Shuriken to obviously give it his look. So yeah, as you can see, that fits in really beautifully. And all of a sudden, there's no doubt who designed this. It was Oliver Bullied. And I think the fact that Triple M have actually included this with the model free of charge absolutely makes up for the price of this model. You know, this is a premium model, it's got loads of features. Can you name another model that comes with brown Firth adapters like this? No, you shouldn't be able to, because I think this is actually an industry first. And I can pop this back out again gently if I can get my fingers in. I can't get my fingers behind it. Oh yeah, I've done it. Okay, there we go. And of course, the other accessory to talk about is the pair of naked men. I've got one of them here. You can see they're beautifully painted. And the shaft sticking out from behind this chap is actually what allows this figure to be fitted to the model. So if I do that, you can see he fits snugly into the center of the Shuriken there, which is just awesome. I think when model railway manufacturers provide passengers for their rolling stock, that makes a huge difference. And of course, these figures have been engineered. I don't know how they've done this, but they've made it so that the passengers can actually rotate with the Shuriken so that they maintain the right orientation. I mean, yeah, like I say, the engineering that's gone into this model is a lot more than people realise. Amazing. And the other cool thing is, once these figures are fitted, they won't just drop back out again. I mean, no matter what I do, this figure is staying put. No matter what I do, this figure will not come off. It will not drop off the vehicle and fall between the rails of my piece of test track here. He stays on really snugly. So that's awesome. So anyway, I think we've seen now everything this model has to offer, except for its performance. So let's go down onto the track and see how this thing works. So here is today's test setup. I've put a bit of a southern train together, and then at the very end here I've got the Rail Shuriken, and what I'm going to do first is demonstrate one of the tumble manoeuvres that the Shurikens were famous for. But before that, I'm going to talk about the free rolling of this vehicle. Now, Triple M told me that they're actually not satisfied with how free rolling this is, and that the models are going to be modified and improved before they're released. So the production schedule is now going to be, production is taking place next week, and then they'll be in the shops the week after that from China. But actually, I've got to say, even if, let's say, the models release and the free rolling issue hasn't been fixed, I think I would actually be fine with that. For my purposes, this was perfectly free rolling enough. And after a few goes, it actually went quite a long way down the hill test. So for me, actually, yeah, the free rolling of this thing is perfectly good. I don't think there's really much modification needed. And that is in my script. That is in the script that Triple M worked on with me. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that. I mean, just because a manufacturer has told me to say something, it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't believe what it is I'm saying. So please stop the comments. I'm putting a lot of time into these videos for you. Anyway, that's that. I'm just going to pop round the back of the train now. And we'll, my knees. And we'll demonstrate a tumble. So here's what would happen then. So here's what would happen then. The Shuriken would come along. There's a train and we've got to get past it. So then they would initiate the tumble, which would look something like this. This is the point where they get blasted with steam out of the safety valves and stuff. So the passengers even get clean. And then they've overtaken the train, and then they can continue on regardless of how quick or slow this train's going. That was the key feature of the Shuriken. Anyway, let's test the performance. Let's say the Shuriken ran out of steam halfway through the tumble, and it's had to temporarily couple up to the train. I think that's a fair scenario in which I can demonstrate this thing running. So as you can see, perfect couplings. Let's get started. Let's see how it gets on around the track. Oh, it looks so good. Alright, so as you're going to see, thanks to the clever coupling design, this thing handles curves perfectly. And apparently there's also been a lot of questions in terms of the loading gauge, you know, thanks to the unusual size of this. Well, again, this has been really cleverly designed so that as long as other 00 models work fine on your railway, this is guaranteed to as well. Oh, bugger. And today I've decided I'm not going to do the points test because I've actually run out of point lubricant. I'm waiting for another bottle to arrive. But as we've seen, the model's so stable, there's no way that it would derail on the points. So I think, given that, no further testing is required, and we can jump straight into the ratings. And as you can see, I have given this model exactly what it deserves, a very good score indeed. The only category that doesn't get 5 stars is the detail category, because I personally would have preferred if the passengers were completely naked as per the prototype. I do completely understand why that's been done for the sake of decency, etc. But this was something I was hoping to see, expecting to see, but didn't. Otherwise, incredible accuracy, the moulding quality, the decoration, everything about this, even the painted accessories, absolutely amazing, so I've only knocked off half a star. Performance, as we saw, absolutely spot on performance, really nice and free rolling, at least within reason, I think. Excellent couplings, brilliant springing on those, the likes of which I've never seen before. And despite being such a large wagon, quite tall, it still respects the loading gauges of my railway quite perfectly. Amazing. Quality, needless to say, 5 star. This was all in one piece, high quality, weighs a ton, all of the wheels are metal, an easy 5 star. And value for money, despite what some say, £89.99. It is an absolute bargain for this. What a good deal that is. So an easy 5 star. Overall then, that is 9.80 out of 10, or a grade of A. And if I could have given this an A+++, I would have done. Can I recommend this? Yes. I would get those pre-orders in right now, before you do anything else. Okay then guys, well that is it for my review of Mansell's Rail Shuriken. Thank you for watching, and also a massive heartfelt thank you to Triple M, not just for letting me do this review, but for everything Triple M does for this channel. So thank you very much, Triple M. And to finish the video, I'm going to do some crooning for you, because I've got a new single out, and it's called T for 2. So please consider purchasing that, and here it comes now. T for 2 by Jake. Picture me upon your knee, with T for 2 and 2 for T. Just me for you and you for me alone. No one to talk to us or see us or hear us. No friends or relations on weekend vacations. We won't have it known that we own a telephone. Day will break and you will wake and start to bake a sugar cake for me to take, for all the boys to see. We will raise a family, a boy for you, a girl for me. Can't you see how happy we would be? And I will wake and start to bake a sugar cake on one condition: you'll buy a Rail Shuriken from me. If you know what's good for you, you'll buy a Rail Shuriken from me. Oh, can't you see how happy you would be?